and Mercedes rule in Neil Simon's Lost in Yonkers. Ex-con Jeff Bridges tries to raise his teenage son in American Heart. And Mario Van Peebles and his cowboy gang seek revenge in Posse.
Sit on the sofa. Mama, you sit there. I will sit here, and Louis, just sit on the chair.
I've been sitting all night, Bella. I think I'll stand, okay?
Louis, it will be much better if you were sitting. I pictured everybody sitting.
Oscar winner Mercedes Ruehl repeats her Tony Award-winning role as a sweet woman in a troubled family in Neil Simon's Lost in Yonkers, one of 5 new movies we'll be reviewing this week on Siskel and Ebert, along with films about dinosaurs, black cowboys, and a courageous Chinese woman. I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times.
And I'm Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune. Got a sore throat, obviously, but I'm going to try and muddle through.
That's the great old show business tradition. I'm looking forward to be able to shout you down during every argument this program. Our first movie is Lost in Yonkers, which is based on the Pulitzer Prize-winning play by Neil Simon and has been directed by Martha Coolidge into one of the best film versions of a work by Simon. The movie takes place during World War II, when 2 brothers are taken by their father to live for a while with his mother and sister upstairs over a candy store in Yonkers. He's widowed and out of work.
Oh, they're strong kids, Ma, both of them.
Jacob, eh?
Yes, but they call me Jay.
No, don't like Jay. Jacob is a name.
Sure. Jacob is fine.
And Arthur?
Arthur. But they call me Artie.
I don't call you Artie.
Sure, I love Arthur. It's like King Arthur.
That's Irene Worth as their not exactly lovable grandmother. Drifting downstairs, the 2 boys run into their legendary and eccentric Aunt Bella. And she's played here by Oscar winner Mercedes Ruehl, who won the Academy Award for Fisher King and is wonderful in this role.
What are you kids doing in here? It's after 6 o'clock. We're closed.
It's Jay and Artie, Aunt Bella. Your nephews?
Oh, my God, it's Jay and Artie. My nephews.
The boys, played by Brad Stoll and Mike Damus, have heard stories about their Uncle Louis, the black sheep of the family, played by Richard Dreyfuss.
This? Don't worry about it. Just holding it for a friend. This cop I know, he's on a camping trip with his kids. He don't want no accidents.
Aunt Bella is not necessarily playing with a full deck, and neither is her shy boyfriend, played here by David Strathern.
You want to kiss me?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I really would.
Then kiss me.
I will.
I mean now. Today, sometime today, okay?
Lost in Yonkers depends for its appeal on the eccentricity of its characters, especially Aunt Bella, who is made by Mercedes Ruehl into a woman who at first seems incapable of dealing in any way with life and then turns out to have unexpected resources. The film's director, Martha Coolidge, made Rambling Rose, which was about another eccentric family and another goofy but lovable woman who was right in the middle of things. This is quite different material here, though, more comic and nostalgic, but it has some of the same appeal, and I like the way all of the events were seen through the eyes of the 2 young boys, to whom the whole world of Yonkers seems so strange that Aunt Bella and Uncle Louis almost fit right in.
I didn't care for it as much, Roger. I saw the play on stage. I thought it was fabulous. Here, I thought there was a lot of overacting, and I think it's because the Neil Simon dialogue does not translate well, so you realize that these are characters who are saying forced lines. Richard Dreyfuss was probably the worst offender. I saw Kevin Spacey in the Dreyfuss role. He won a Tony for it. Spacey was more interesting. I can't hold... I know that, but I can't do anything about it. I saw the play.
Yeah, well, I haven't seen the play. I've only seen the movie, and as for the Simon dialogue, there is a kind of Neil Simon dialogue. I mean, it's not exactly realistic. No. Everyday speech, but that's okay, especially in a movie where these are not realistic everyday people.
The mother, Irene Worth, the best character on the film, I thought, is real. They are tightly controlled. She's not a caricature. She's tightly controlled. And a controlling, destructive force, even though she's got love in her.
Okay, I like Irene Worth, but you set up this theory that they have to be real in order to be good. This is not a movie about real people.
It's a movie about real emotions, and they're undercut every single time by that clanging Neil Simon dialogue that goes for the joke all the time. This thing had to be rewritten. I don't think it works at all. Our next film is called Carnosaur, about a mad scientist who hatches a plan to wipe out the human race while genetically engineering the return of the dinosaur to its place as king of the planet. And right away, I like this movie for the sheer goofiness of that idea. Diane Ladd plays the crazed geneticist, and here she watches a tape of her dinosaur creation in action. The night watchman is surprised to find her working so late.
I think there are two kinds of people. Those who want to look death straight in the eye, know it when it comes for them, and those who want to die blissfully in the sleep of ignorance.
A terrific villain, and later in the picture, the night watchman, played by Raphael Sbarge, again confronts the mad scientist and her dinosaur eggs.
You know as well as I do, if there's a raw viral serum, there's a chance of an antivirus.
It doesn't make any difference, it's too late.
Where is it?
Ultimately, of course, there must be a showdown between the night watchman, his girlfriend, and the dinosaurs. The creatures, unfortunately, are the least interesting element in the movie. I'm sure this is going to really please Diane Ladd. She's the best thing in the movie, more interesting than the dinosaurs, just what an actress wants to hear. Steven Spielberg's Jurassic Park is coming out next month, and it's going to feature high-tech dinosaurs. It's going to be interesting to see, however, whether he has any humans as enjoyable as Diane Ladd's character in Carnosaur. So a marginal thumbs up for me.
Well, a thumbs down for me, Gene, although I did enjoy Diane Ladd's kind of mad intensity. She has that sort of way of zeroing in on her lines as if everything in the entire future of mankind depends upon what she's doing here.
I think she's one of the craziest characters that we've ever seen in a movie. I mean, this woman is, I mean, she's really way out there. The easiest thing would be, we always get it, the villain is always someone who wants to destroy the world. She's got a very specific plan. She hates people. And she loves dinosaurs and thinks they should be in charge. I mean, that's fabulously loony.
Well, I liked all of that. I agree with you, the dinosaurs aren't too good, and it doesn't help that they shoot them all at night, which I think is a technique to cover up the fact that they're not really very high-tech. I think Spielberg's going to have higher-tech dinosaurs. I also felt that the plot got a little murky when all of the women started to give birth to dinosaurs and everybody broke out in a fever and so forth. I was not quite sure exactly what the master plan was there.
The master plan is, she's thought this through very carefully. She wants to impregnate all the women with dinosaur eggs and destroy the women so they'll die in childbirth, thus eliminating the ability of the human race to keep conceiving.
Well, that explains one of the key lines in the movie, which is half of the species will be exterminated. And then I'm thinking quickly and thinking, and then another generation, the other half will go because there won't be anybody to give birth to them. So
the movie makes real good sense.
That up. Okay, when we come back, American Heart with Jeff Bridges as an ex-con who doesn't know what to do when his son comes looking for a home.
You keep me straight. I keep you straight.
All right, we're gonna shoot to see who gets what. What you got, odds or even?
Odds.
That's Jeff Bridges as an ex-con in a scene from our next film called American Heart. Bridges has just gotten out of prison and has moved into a rooming house in Seattle, only to be tracked down by his son, played by Edward Furlong. The son is homeless and needs a place to stay, but Bridges isn't sure he's ready for that kind of responsibility. And they're arguing there about who gets the bed, but before long, Bridges wakes up to find a stranger sharing the room.
Thank you, ma'am. I can handle it from here.
I can explain this, Normandy. What, do you think I'm a pervert?
Furlong's girlfriend is part of a sad community of street kids that he pals around with. Forgotten by their parents and by society, they hang out together, forming their own family.
Close your eyes. You can't kiss me if you're mad dogging me.
But I want to see you.
Why?
Because I think you're pretty to look at.
American Heart was directed by Martin Bell, who also made the Oscar-nominated documentary Streetwise about the street children of Seattle, and it was shot on some of these same streets. This movie is true to the vision of that earlier extraordinary film. It shows people struggling to survive on the edges of society, and I was especially impressed by Edward Furlong's performance as a kid who's been ignored, kicked around, and neglected, but keeps coming back with a stubborn desire to claim his father and be his friend. Bridges is also very good here as a man who wants to pull his life together and doesn't know if he has the resources.
You know, Roger, my bottom line is I like Streetwise a whole lot more. I felt that was real. Here, and I happen to be a big Jeff Bridges fan. I think he's one of our really finest actors over the last 2 decades. I felt the performance was self-indulgent, and I felt that it was sort of predictable that he's down and out and mean, real mean. And I'm looking at him, and I'm staring at him, I'm watching this movie, and I'm thinking it's a performance. Edward Furlong, probably because I've seen less of him, is more credible in the role. I just felt the film worked in very predictable ways about all these homeless dramas. Well, Streetwise is the picture.
I grant you Streetwise is a better film. Documentaries, generally speaking, about the same material are going to be stronger than fiction.
Yes.
That's a given. But I don't agree with you about Jeff Bridges here. It seems to me that he's not being cruel, that what he's trying to do is he isn't capable of handling his own life, much less his son's life, and he wants the son to go back to the relatives he's been staying with.
I don't think I said he was being cruel. I said it was forced when he was cruel. I could see that he was a nicer person as he's doing that, and I knew that it had to go in this, you know, episodic fashion where he's down and then he's going to be up and then down and up again.
Okay,
and
that's the nature of fiction as opposed to documentary. Coming up next from the director of New Jack City, Posse is a story of the Old West.
After I finish my business out west, I'm gonna go up to Canada, go to them Dakota territories, and let things cool off. Now, y'all wanna ride with me, that's okay. Don't ask no questions that need answering. Don't get in my way.
Mario Van Peebles is part of a cowboy gang bent on revenge in Posse, a new, most ambitious black western which wants to establish the proper place of African Americans in the Old West while still telling a hip, violence, and comedy-filled story. Posse is comprised of soldiers from the Spanish-American War who are rascals, but a whole lot more decent than their vicious colonel, played by Billy Zane. They've stolen enemy gold together, but now the colonel wants it all for himself.
What about the gold?
Well, I believe the answer to that one is what gold?
The Posse wins that battle, and here's an example of the lecturing element of the movie, as one white member of the Posse is questioned about his attitude toward blacks.
Seems to me the only problem the white man has with the colored man is that he's afraid. You know how people are always afraid of what they don't know or what they don't understand?
Posse hides out with their gold in a black western town that Jesse, the Mario Van Peebles character, grew up in. Here he meets with the sheriff, Blair Underwood, from TV's LA Law. More lecturing here, too.
Ain't that black and white no more, Jesse. Soon, the West is gonna be settled. Ain't gonna be no more new frontier or frontiersmen. We got business, my friend, and businessmen.
The director of Posse is its star, Mario Van Peebles, whose New Jack City was a surprise smash hit a couple of years ago. He's taken on a big burden here, telling sort of a hip-hop, frantic Wild Bunch story packed with social messages, too. But what I like about the film are the traditional elements. It looks good, it has a wonderful cast, takes us to fresh places in the West, and yet I'm giving it thumbs down because I'd like to toss out a whole bunch of scenes and really slow down Van Peebles' direction.
I'm giving it thumbs down too, Gene, and I think I liked it less than you did. I think this movie is wildly over-directed and over-photographed and underwritten, and we never get the substance of these people. We never understand what their personalities are like, who they are, what motivates them. We see only the surface. There are a lot of shots in the movie where the camera just circles people while they're talking, just goes around and around, as if the director was thinking, I don't trust the dialogue, I have to be doing something fancy with the visual style.
I think that if there were probably fewer characters in the Posse, it might work better. At the same time, I think you know what this group is about.
Yeah.
I think that's what you're not giving it credit for. As a group, they're about having served the country, having been ripped off.
Oh, well, I mean, but that's very superficial, Gene. Who are these people really? Are there any scenes that really develop them and reveal their inner thoughts, as would be the case in a John Ford Western?
I think, hey, I've given a margin. This is not a John Ford Western, but what I'm telling you is that the scene at the campfire there, it has a feeling about where he's been, and it's a speculation on the future.
Maybe it gives you an idea of what the movie could have been if it had just slowed down a little bit and taken its time. When we come back, China's best-known director tells the story of a stubborn countrywoman who visits the big city. The story of Xu Ju is next. A film from China. Then a new director named Zhang Yimou appeared on the scene with an extraordinary series of films, including Red Sorghum, Judo, and Raise the Red Lantern. Now he's back with his first film about contemporary China, named The Story of Xu Ju. Like all of his films, this one stars Gong Li, who looked glamorous in Raise the Red Lantern, but here becomes a careworn, pregnant village woman with a cause. The village leader got into a fight with her husband and kicked him in the groin, and Xu Ju demands justice. The bureaucrats are actually pretty reasonable with Xu Ju. They suggest the village leader should apologize and pay reparations for time lost from work, but he refuses to play along. He's too proud.
底下的钱一共20张，你11张给我递回头，11张给我递回头，第20回头，这事就完了。
完不完？你说了也不算。
Xu Ju is one stubborn woman who wants to see justice done. She travels all the way to a regional capital where, of course, she is obviously a sitting duck for con men.
你我坐你车，你要多少钱？
给45块钱。
45？太贵了吧？
还贵？这屋的钱能弄啥去？
The story of Xu Ju works in two different ways. On the one hand, it's the story of this stubborn woman and her determination to get respect from the arrogant village chief. But on the other hand, it's a fascinating portrait of today's China. As the movie opens in Xu Ju's small village with its timeless ways, I thought it was taking place in a past century. I didn't know it was taking place now. When she walks into town and there's a car on the road, I was startled for a moment. As she makes her way up the bureaucratic ladder, she leads us almost on a tour from the old China to the modern China. And once again, Zhang Yimou has made a film that works as entertainment and also provides fascinating insights.
Well, this is by far the best film. I know you agree. By far the best film we have on this show. This is really superior material. I think you're absolutely right in your review. There are two struggles going on here. You have her personal struggle, and then at the same time, you have a whole society, the whole Chinese society, trying to struggle with being just. And we see that there's a lot of goodwill in the land.
Yes.
And that struggle is just as interesting as the individual struggle.
Yes,
so all the people that we meet along the way with her are just as fascinating as she is. Plus, he does one other thing. His direction style is so economical that she has to keep turning down offers, far more offers than we suspect. We think the movie would be over after about 3, but there's an extra one in there, and it's surprising too.
You know, one thing that Zhang Yimou did here that is fascinating is he used hidden cameras. And frequently, he just put his heroine and her sister-in-law and that cart that they pull around in the middle of thousands of Chinese people who had no idea they were in a movie, so that you see unrehearsed extras and you see the ordinary street life of China. You see a lot of bicycles and not many cars, probably very good for their aerobic health. And it's a fascinating look at what China is like.
It's a terrific film. Coming up next, our video pick of the week, I think a better Neil Simon film comedy than Lost in Yonkers.
Siskel and Ebert's video pick of the week, brought to you by Orville Redenbacher, the first and last name in popcorn.
It's time for our video pick of the week. Lost in Yonkers was a very good Neil Simon play that I think hasn't been turned into a very good movie. But the 1978 film, California Suite, is an example of a so-so Neil Simon play that works on film. At least 2 of its 4 parts do, and they work very well. We meet several different couples in California Suite who, for various reasons, have checked into the Beverly Hills Hotel. By far the funniest are Maggie Smith and Michael Caine, playing an actress and her husband on their way to the Oscars.
Channel 2 just picked you as a dark horse. They must have seen the dress.
You hate it?
How much was it?
Well, nothing. Joe Pickman paid for it.
Then I love it.
And Jane Fonda is in top form in another segment in the film when she comes out to visit her former husband, played by Alan Alda.
Hello, Hannah.
You were supposed to knock. I was going to keep you waiting in the hall. You screwed up my big moment.
Another sketch with Bill Cosby and Richard Pryor doesn't work at all, but California Suite gives us short doses of Neil Simon's humor, and it seems to work better on film that way especially with these fine actors. California Suite, our video pick of the week. Now let's recap the movies we reviewed on this show. We split on Lost in Yonkers. I thought the writing seemed too talky and phony and ruins a fine performance by Irene Worth. Roger, however, believes this is one of the very best versions of Simon's work. We also disagreed on Carnosaur with Diane Ladd as a scary scientist who wants dinosaurs to inherit the Earth. I liked the movie's goofiness, but Roger felt it never took off. Another split vote on American Heart with Jeff Bridges as a drifter who has to put his own life together before he can take care of his homeless son. I thought the whole story seemed overwritten. Roger really liked Jeff Bridges' performance. 2 thumbs down for Posse, the ambitious black western by Mario Van Peebles, which we both thought suffers from being badly over-directed. And finally, 2 thumbs up for The Story of Shuzhou, the epic story of a Chinese peasant woman standing up to male authority. Another fine film by the leading Chinese filmmaker, Zhang Yimou. So this is the one.
That's a good one, and all by himself with this group of films that he's made, he's put the Chinese film industry on the map. It's an interesting development. That's it for this week. Next week we'll be back with a special show in which we salute the 70s, the last golden era of American film, and take a look at American classics like The Long Goodbye, MASH, and The Conversation. That's next week, and until then, the balcony is closed.
Load Hugger cargo nets expand to hold groceries, tools, sporting, and camping gear securely in place and are easy to install. No tools required. Load Hugger cargo nets. Fashion Bug, 1,200 stores carrying the latest in junior, Mrs. Plus, girls and men's fashions. 1-800-FB-FITS and the letter U. Fashion Bug fits your life. Armatron All Sport, beautifully designed, water resistant with alarm, chronograph, and dual time. Perfect for Father's Day. Armatron, the best price quality watch in America. Easy Spirit Lights, the first light shoe with the right support. Real art support plus all the cushioning of an athletic shoe. So now you can hit the pavement without the pavement hitting you.